Okay, so on a request, I am going to do a review on parasites and the protocol. So just to give you a little background on my exposure to parasites, I had zero exposure to parasites when I first implemented the protocol. And prior to me implementing the protocol, I had no exposure to parasites. Like, not exposure as far as I wasn't exposed to them, but I didn't know they existed in our body. I heard about them, that they were a friendly force that was normal in humans, because I learned that in school. And then, hold on. And then my peers reinforced the fact that parasites were a friendly symbiotic relationship. So I never even thought twice about parasites or anything. So when I first started creating my protocol, I was coming from the standpoint of Candida and the holistic community. And I heard about, parasite detoxes, but I never had any kind of relationship with that, because I never had any type of issue that I would make that connection that it was parasite induced. So that was never anything that I focused on. But I did see in passing, through these different natural remedy groups, that people were doing parasite cleanses. So okay, whatever. Because I made the assumption that people who travel to exotic countries were, they had parasites, because that's all the doctors ever said. Hey, have you ever been, traveling to a different country? If so, then you might get malaria or other type of parasitic infections that were only like having to do with overseas travelers. So I'm an American. I've been to China. Yes, I've lived in Hawaii and been to Canada, and never had any kind of illness. Maybe I had a little bit of a cold or something, or some kind of yellow fever type symptoms. I had the yellow fever shot when I was in China, but that was it. I had no other, I had never had malaria. So I just never thought about parasites. So when I started the protocol, I was digging in my butt. You guys know about that, pulling the poop out because I was constipated, all that stuff, right? Never saw anything that I thought was like, ooh, that's a parasite. So even when I was going through my initial healing of pooping and constipation and pulling everything out and doing all that stuff, never saw a parasite that I thought about, or even made that connection. It was when the group started, okay, and I was getting the word out, and people from all walks of life, from the holistic industry, were coming into the group talking about parasites and saying, hey, would this, help with parasites? And I'm just like, I don't even remember what I said, but I noticed that pictures were coming through the 60,000 person group of what was coming out of their body. And they were saying that, this is a parasite, and I have these type of parasites. And all of a sudden, you just see this huge deluge of parasite pictures, because the waterfalls were purging out all of these different things. There's a lady in another country, I forget her name. She had like all these different types of like tapeworm type parasites that were coming out of her body. And then, people here in America, we're talking about like liver flukes, and then and what else? I mean, let me give you some background on what parasites are if you're not familiar. Okay, so I'm going to kill off this because that's just circling. I don't need that. And there we go. Document. Okay, so like, what is a parasite? All right, so a parasite is an organism that lives within or on a host. So you're the host, and then there's this animal that is taking and diverting the nutrients, or taking something from your body and using it to live on. So the parasite uses the host resources to fuel its life cycle. It uses the host resources to maintain itself. Parasites vary widely. Around 70% are not visible to the human eye. So you can imagine how many parasites that we have. They're not even visible. You can't even see. Okay? Such as malarial parasites, worm parasites, can reach over 30 meters in length. So parasites are not a disease, what they say, but they can spread disease. So they can cause malfunctions in your system. All right. And different parasites have different effects. So, and I'll tell you the different types of parasites. I mean, there's endoparasites, and they include heartworm, tapeworm, flatworms. They live in the host. I mean, my dog has, as far as I know, she has no parasites that are affecting her, and she has not dealt with any fleas this whole season, and no ticks. And this must be like a really heavy tick season. I have not pulled off any ticks off her body. Now, I had a tick in my hair. It didn't attach itself. There's a tick in my hair really early in the season, and that was it. No ticks at all. No tick bites, nothing. My dog is pristine. So an intercellular parasite lives in the spaces within the host body, within the host cells, and they include bacteria and viruses. So these parasites carry the bacteria and viruses. Okay. Here we go. The endoparasites rely on a third organism. These are the internal ones, known as a vector or carrier. You know what a vector is? Vaccines are vectors. It's a force that creates a carrier force that is an aggressive event that will then place a parasite or that pathogen in some type of receiver, right? So the vector transmits the endoparasite to the host. So the mosquito or a vaccine is a vector for many parasites, including the protozoa known as Plasmodium, which causes malaria. All right. So then we have the epiparasite. These feed on other parasites in a relationship known as hyperparasitism. A flea lives on a dog, but the flea may have a protozoan in its digestive tract. The protozoan is the hyperparasite. Okay, so you can do the Google, and I don't have to go through all of this, right? You can Google it, and I have the link there, but that kind of gives you an idea of the parasites that we are exposed to. And they're not just only in exotic countries. That's right, Tanya. When it comes to parasites, you don't even know what you don't even know. That is so true, because you can't even see it. So now, how does that translate to my protocol? So when I first learned about parasites was in my 60,000 person group, and people were doing the waterfalls, and they were seeing all this mess. And how do they know that they were parasites? Well, there are some that are obvious, okay? Like tapeworm. There are other types that may have eyes. People said some of them were swimming around. I've seen liver flukes, or what I thought were liver flukes, a lot of red stuff, and I didn't eat any red peppers or tomatoes during that time that I was pooping. And there's all this red little liver flukes. And then there was these pods with tails that were very prevalent. I saw it in my husband's toilet when he left little poopies behind. Okay, he has some, whatever those pods are, I don't even know what they're called, but they always look like a little bit of like a corn nut with tails. And we've seen a lot of them on pictures in the group. Okay, we finally had to tell them to stop putting the pictures like in the feed and put them in the comment line, because we were all getting grossed out. So that's how bad it got, where people were posting all of their toilet pictures. So, and then there's like these rope worms that people were, posting, and some of them could have been confused with mucus placoid, that when you are taking my recipe and you're ingesting it in large amounts and you're following it up with water, and you're going to create that energizing force that cleans out your system, and it infuses your body with the nutrients and the minerals and does a rapid cell regeneration as well as a rapid purging. You saw these huge pieces of mucus placoid, because mucus is the body's defense system to wrap around the pathogens to protect the body from it being absorbed into the system. Okay, so that's what was coming out of people's bodies. So mucus placoid. What else? Rope worms, tapeworms, you name it, it was coming out of people's bodies. And then people were posting stuff and then showing, when they would put it through a strainer and stuff. I mean, yeah, and I've seen little things that look like worms too. They come out when I was actually really examining my poop. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is that? So, I mean, I don't bother getting them diagnosed because there's no point in it. But the reason why people were seeing these worms, because worms and parasites are foreign objects. They're no different than a heart transplant and a person that has to take immune suppressing drugs, you know, to keep that heart transplanted in, right? So our lifestyle right now is immune suppressing. And if you're not on the protocol, then your immune suppressed lifestyle is keeping those parasites in your body. So I missed the protocol. I'm not sure what that means, Carrie Michelle Faust. So yeah, so that's the reason why prior to the protocol, people are harboring so many parasites. And these parasites have a spirit, a force. They have a survival instinct. They know what they need to do to get the host to act in a specific way. They also are in fear of their life. Parasites know when something is trying to kill them. That's why you see all the attacks on my review for my books, because these parasites know that this book is going to kill them. Not the person, but the parasite that controls the person. But the person who's being controlled by parasites don't even know they're being controlled, because that's their reality. This is all they know. So parasites are foreign objects. And when they're a foreign object, they don't belong in your body. So when your body's finally able to reinforce its defense systems, guess what gets kicked out? Those condominium of critters that do not belong. Well, how does that work? Well, I mean, you know that your immune system is supposed to work in a specific way. It has to rebuild the cells and purge out what doesn't belong. So that's why, you know, anyone that has a major organ transplant needs to be under a doctor's care, because I just want to make sure, not saying that my protocol is going to kill them if they have a major organ transplant, because most likely the body is going to regrow that heart with that major organ transplant, the heart transplant, and then eventually shut down that heart transplant, because it is a foreign object. Okay, but that is a theory that I don't want someone to to experiment on their own. Now, if you have other organs that are not something that, I mean, there are other organs that are not like a major, like a minor, like a pancreas, like a thyroid, like that, or like a kidney, like even 2 kidneys, if you're missing those, you can do the protocol because you have a backup system. Okay, so that way you know that you have something backed up to help you, you know, filter out your urine and stuff, so that way your body doesn't go into, you know, poison, you know, get toxicity, whatever that, or toxic symptoms from having all those poisons, and then you'll eventually regrow your kidneys. So potentially, okay, so parasites don't belong in your system. They're going to get purged. Some people I've heard people say that parasites came out of their nose when they threw up. Parasites came out of their mouth. It's a creature that does not belong in your system. When animals are immunocompromised, like my dog, when she first got here, she had fleas every season because her body was not well balanced. She didn't have the right defense systems to keep everything in check. She had a tick that was on her body, okay, and I had to get that removed in the beginning, but she has not had a tick at all since then. So now my dog's body is so well balanced that no parasites that I can see are flourishing, okay? And then you'll find that you're not going to get mosquito bites as much. Like I only had maybe, I'd say 3 mosquito bites this whole summer, and I've been outside and I've been inside, and I had a mosquito go to my ear, but it didn't bite me. So you're going to find that you're not going to be attracting insects, okay? Because they're attracted to the sugar in your system, as well as the low functioning immune system. And then Mosley said, can you go over parasite connection with cancer? I mean, parasites, they hold bacteria and they hold viruses. They don't cause cancer. Parasites don't cause the cancer. The viruses may like attach itself to your yeast cells in specific parts of your body. And then when your lifestyle of eating, you know, all the processed food and the sugars and the sugar substitutes, all the bad stuff, it then feeds it. And then that's what drives the cancer. And then that specific virus programs, you know, is programmed to then target a specific area in your body. Like, let's say, ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer is a virus that attached itself to the yeast in the reproductive area, and that's how you get ovarian cancer. It's from the herpes virus, or is it herpes? Yeah, or is it HPV? I think HPV and herpes, those viruses cause cancer in specific regions. Okay, like Candida albicans is a yeast infection down, you know, in the genital area, because albicans has to do with the ovaries, the reproductive system. Okay, so you could have Candida, which is a systemic yeast infection, and it could be all over your body, but then the specific types are based upon the viruses that are programmed to target a specific symptom. And it could be intentional or it could not be intentional. It could be just a byproduct or a side effect from all of those elements and human tissue that are in the vaccines, because you know and have heard that they've taken aborted fetus cells and put them in the vaccines, as well as other elements. And then all of a sudden, now we have weird exotic diseases that are in people, and they have no idea how they got it. No, it's not your body just all of a sudden, you know, what is it, spontaneous to say, I'm going to just die. No, I've mentioned that Newton's third law of motion is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So something caused your body to have that disease, and that is the exposure to something exotic. And then your body was not able to purge out that exposure, wasn't able to overcome that mutation. And so now you're left with these mutations, these issues. So parasites are carriers of disease. They also malfunction. They also malfunction the processes in your body, and that way it causes, you know, anomalies. And then Masa says, I've heard that anyone with cancer has both. Of course they do, yes. And yes, the reason why is that when you have Candida, okay, it lowers your immune system to allow the parasites to flourish. Okay, so that's how they're able to stay in your body, is because the Candida, which lowers your immune system because it's now eating up all your nutrients, and so are the parasites. And then you don't have a strong defense system to fight off those parasites. And then that's why the parasites are able to flourish. And then once you actually reinforce your immune system at a very aggressive level, you are now going to purge out and rebuild. And your body, that's its job, is to filter out all the unwanted excess heavy metals and absorb the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff, and then repair and purge and do what it needs to do. Okay, so not sure exactly, you know, Diojo, what your skepticism was about the parasites, but everybody has them. You just may not know. And some of the symptoms are like anemia, allergies. Let me tell you some of the symptoms so we can kind of get. So here we go. So symptoms of parasites can widely vary. Sometimes these resemble the symptoms of other conditions such as hormone deficiency, pneumonia, food poisoning. What else? Skin bumps or rashes, weight loss, increased appetite or both, abdominal pain, diarrhea and vomiting, sleeping problems, anemia, aches and pains, allergies, weakness and general feeling of unwell, fever. However, parasites can pass on a wide variety of conditions, so symptoms are hard to predict. And then there's like human parasites. The tiny amoeba can affect the eye, the skin, and the brain. It exists all over the world in water and soils. And individuals can become infected if they clean contact lenses with tap water in some areas. Babibiosis is spread by ticks. It affects the blood cells. And the risk is the highest in summer of the Northeast and upper Midwest. So ticks, yeah, ticks and Lyme disease, right? Then Balantindiasis is a single cell parasite that infects pigs. And yeah, so people can get it through water and direct contact with pigs. And then blastocytosis enters humans through fecal oral route. So this infects the intestines. Okay. So all of these different, and then, so all of your symptoms, every symptom that you have is going to be related to a parasite, a bacteria, a virus, candida, all of them working in concert together. So yeah, I mean, this is why doing the protocol is going to take care of everything. That's why there are no parasite cleanses on this protocol, because guess what you're doing? Even though you're trying to kill the parasites, and you may kill the parasites, but you're also killing yourself. But you're not going to be killing all the parasites, because once the parasites know that you're trying to kill it with a poison that they know is also poisoning your system, they will run away to the far reaches of the night in your body, and then wait till you're done, and then come out when you're done poisoning it, and then they go and reinfect. And you're right, Masa, that I used to be the biggest teeth grinder as a kid. I had parasites as a kid. I know I did, because I seen them in my butt, because I wasn't, sticking my finger in my butt wasn't the first time during this protocol. I did it when I was a kid too, right? I was curious, okay? I explored my own body. So I knew I had little white worms in my butt, and I seen them come out of my skin one time. And then I was always grinding my teeth at night. My parents had to close the bedroom door, okay, so they wouldn't have to hear me grind my teeth. And I was a behavior problem. I was a major behavior problem as a kid. And then they're trying to control me and brainwash me and make me sit still. And I'm full of freaking parasites. I came from Vietnam. Then I got vaccinated when I came here. Had some kind of brain inflammation. That's why I went to the hospital. Thought it was a concussion. And then trying to maintain some kind of, school career was impossible. That's why I was being socially acceptable was freaking impossible. So it's like, parasites will cause behavior problems in children. And we got to recognize that once you start releasing those parasites, you're going to see a different change. You're going to see a change in a person. I don't know if my dog, she was just outside. She's so funny. Sugar, you got to wait, okay? You got to wait, Sugar. So anyways, but yeah, I mean, I had to get a mouth guard too, Carrie. I had to get a mouth guard. Oh, my dog, she's so funny. I'm just going to let her sit there for a minute. I always cater to her. Yeah, so, and I used to clench so hard, I felt like I was going to break my jaw. So any of you guys, and then, oh yeah, you also speak about people having erratic erects because of parasites. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, any of you guys that have, that you've seen, I mean, you've heard of schizophrenia, you've heard of people getting triggered in bars and alcohol, and just someone, like if you see on TV, people yell, like these reality shows where they're just going completely off their rocker. Like, let's say Vicki Gunvalson. I've been watching The Real Housewives of Orange County last night, and I was watching Watch What Happens Live at the, like around 11 o'clock. And they had a whole compilation of all of her freak out. She looks like a parasite when she freaks out. So when someone gets triggered, and you can see a different change in their tone, where they're almost like talking through their teeth, and their eyes get like really wide and really like, black. That's the parasites talking. When people get triggered, it's the parasites and all of their negative PTSD coming to surface. And I've heard it even in people that I know. As soon as I talk about something like education, or where I'm talking about something that they think they should know, and they feel that what I'm saying is challenging, all of a sudden a whole different tone comes out. And that's the parasite not wanting somebody to call them out. Okay, that is parasitic infection, is the triggers. And so once we released, like once I released all those parasites out of my body, I was doing the waterfalls, I felt so relaxed. Yeah, possessed. I felt like when I was a kid, I felt out of control. When I was a kid, I was temper tantrums, you know, as much as I could. My mother would allow me to have, but you know, in class, I was acting out. I felt, and during my PMS times, I felt like I was controlled. Like I couldn't, you know, control my anger. It was just coming, and it wouldn't stop coming to surface. So once you release the parasites, then, you know, then all of a sudden, calm. Now the body can finally focus on the body, not all these foreign invaders. And you'll see a change in your demeanor, your behavior, your choices in life. I mean, people who are criminals. Hold on a second. Hold on, sugar. All right, come on. People who are criminals, I remember that. So, people who are criminals, making wrong choices, in jail, okay, they're all full of parasites. I mean, you look at the mutations in people. Some people look like a parasite. Some people have the body type like a parasite. Some people look like ticks. Okay? That is somebody full of parasites. When kids are sick, really, really sick, and they have a certain smell to them, yeah, they're full of parasites. The parasites release byproducts, and it goes into the bloodstream of the body. Okay? And it causes mutations. Y'all just need to just know that you have parasites in your body. When you're walking barefoot out there in the grass, like in the dirty South, right? You better be drinking my recipe, because you're taking in parasites through your feet. I've known a lady I was talking to in the beginning, and she was doing these like foot things where all this orange liquid was coming out of her feet. She was trying to detox her body through her feet, and all this stuff was coming out through her feet. So yeah, your feet absorbs, especially when you're walking around barefoot, all of the microscopic bacteria and all the different organisms that will invade your body. And you may not get symptoms right away, but if you don't keep reinforcing your immune system, guess what? They turn into anacondas. They turn into chow mein. They gotta, I mean, and this is interesting today to talk about parasites, because last night I had dreams about parasites. Oh my God. I won't say what the dreams are, but it was just like, it was weird. So I guess I was having a premonition that I'll be covering parasites today, because yeah, and then people are sending me, you know, stuff about parasites, about like the turpentine. Some guy sent me about turpentine, that he was in his turpentine group and he's taking turpentine for these parasites for one area that was hurting him and everything. And then now he's on the protocol in a different context. That same area that he was taking turpentine for was hurting again, which means the body was healing from that turpentine and whatever else that was plaguing parts of his body. So, and then Kara's like, I've been suspect about the whole earthing. Oh yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I don't walk barefoot too often in my own house. And if I do, then I usually put on my shoes or, you know, buy little sandals. But I am, you know, on my protocol really aggressively, basically every day. I don't drink coffee anymore. I just drink water and my juice, and that's it. I'll take I have some frozen fruit that I'll go and mix up just to kind of get a different taste. But that's all I drink. So yeah, I mean, so no detoxes, because the detoxes that are out there may kill a few parasites, but they get smart. My antibiotics don't work, right, over time, because the body and the parasites, not the body, but the yeast and the fungus and the bacteria and the parasites, they all get smart and figure out what you're doing. Just like my dog. She knows when, you know, when we're trying to keep her off the couch and I kind of like let her on the couch a little bit. Or, you know, she knows that when my husband's around to get off the couch, right? But then when I'm around, she kind of pushes out like a kid. Or she knows that, you know, when I say that Daddy's going to be home today or soon, and she used to go to the door and to the window every single time that I say Dad's going to be home today, right? Just to let her know. But now she doesn't go to the door and the window anymore until she sees him, because she realizes that Daddy doesn't come home until later when I say it. So the dog knows based upon prior experience, right? Dogs learn, humans learn, so do parasites. They have a will to survive. They will figure out how to get the human to do certain things. So you walk barefoot, then you really need to be doing the juice then, Diogo. Like really being aggressive. Like seriously aggressive. So, you know, I don't walk barefoot outside. Maybe very rarely if I'm like, well, you know, if I get off the couch for once, right? And I don't feel like putting my shoes on and I have to get to the door, I'll run over there. But it's very rare that I walk barefoot around even my own house. Or outside, never. I don't walk on the grass barefoot. I don't go to any beaches, and I don't go to the lakes very often. So yeah, I understand the whole parasite thing. So that's just something for you guys to understand about Parasites and the Protocol. My protocol will deal with everything. Because when you're taking in nutrients, right? When you're taking in nutrients and you're feeding your body what it needs, it's not going to discriminate against certain things. It's going to take care of everything, like everything, universally. Because we're dealing with universal elements that have a specific balance with the body as well as with the universe. Zero shoes. Oh, okay, I'll check that out. What do those do? Are they like antimicrobial, anti-dust? There are some mattresses that are antimicrobial, anti-dust mite that are like, you know, organic latex mattresses. I used to sell those actually. That's why I know about them. But yeah, but you'll always be exposed to parasites. When you go out to eat, you don't know who's preparing your food. You don't know where the food really is coming from. So you could potentially be eating parasites every single time you go out to eat. And so you're never going to 100% get away from parasites, but you have the control to get rid of them. So, and then this is now a lifelong for me. Yeah, of course, Christine, of course. Yeah, but you'll now have the control to be able to get rid of anything that you're exposed to. So as long as you're not being overwhelmed. Okay. So, because yeah, I mean, if you're in a garage and you turn the car on with all the windows closed, that is being overwhelmed. Okay. So yeah, you vacuum your mattress and covers. Yeah, that makes sense, because all the dust mites, the mites. I know. I mean, they're everywhere. Microorganisms are everywhere. But remember, they're not in control. We are, because we understand balance. We understand how the human body works. We know what feeds the parasites and the fungus. We know what's going to kill them. We know how to maintain an effective immune system and not violating the laws of the immune system. And vaccines and detoxes are in the holistic market, and the kombuchas and the apple cider vinegars all violate the laws of the human body. They violate the laws of the immune system. And that's why they're ineffective. And that's why the holistic people out there, as well as the herbalists and those professionals, are still dying in the matrix. And they'll never admit that you can reverse the aging process 100%. So, you know, that's how you know that these people are not someone you should follow, especially if they're aging. If they're aging, then why would you follow them? If they're dead, why would you follow them? Now, if they died in a car accident, okay, I can see that. But, you know, I mean, look at me. I'm 44 years old. I'm going to be 45. I feel like, I don't even want to say in my 20s. In my 20s, I was going through so much crap. I feel the best I've ever felt in my whole life. So, and then what? I always start my car windows up. No, I'm talking about with the windows. No. I'm talking about like in the garage with all the windows, like the windows closed and everything closed. When you turn the car on and then you're in a garage and all the windows and the doors are closed in a garage, you'll get carbon monoxide poisoning. No, when you turn your car on with the windows closed, like in your car, that's not a big deal. I'm talking about in the garage. So, oh, they support the natural country of your foot. You get barefoot walks with man-made arch. Oh yeah, but protecting the body. Okay, Jana, that's interesting. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, so parasites are not your friend, no matter what somebody says. Microorganisms are not in control. We are, because we understand balancing forces. We understand the laws of the immune system. And salt is not going to kill you as long as you're balancing out with water. Nutrients from cabbage and kale are not going to kill you because they are nutrients your body needs. And people who are very, very negative, like very, 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 very negative, okay, are extremely parasitic, because that's the negative energy in their body that is manifesting. And those people, you just have to kind of take with a grain of salt and do the best you can to find a way to reach them. And sometimes you can't, and that's okay. They'll have to come to terms with, you know, with themselves. It's like when someone's possessed, right? And you see like an exorcist, like, and you see kind of windows, shades of the person who actually is the person, and then you see the shades of the demon. That's kind of what you're dealing with when you're dealing with people who are, you know, back and forth with the negative and positive energy, or negative, negative, negative. Maybe there's a window of opportunity for you to reach them if you can find that. But some people are so parasitic, you won't be able to find that, and you got to leave them alone. Let them do their own thing. Okay? So, so there you go. That's for you, Diojo, and for everybody else that wants to know about Parasites and My Protocol. And I do cover it briefly. Like, this book is the protocol, right? With the science, I'll tell you what, I mean, I could have put like all of the parasite pictures, but I would have to get permission from everybody, and I didn't have enough of my own. And all I had was the group pictures, because I still have the group open, but nobody's in there except for me and a few people, which is my mods or people who are working on their book, so they can just get some, you know, info and ideas. But no, I didn't put a bunch of pictures of parasites in here because it was, you know, you can Google all that stuff. That's all you can Google it. So I put in like just a few things. I put Candida, virus, microbes, and parasites, and how they work together, and then Candida, what it kind of looks like, but I don't have a picture of it. But it is spongy and orangey yellow mass, and then liver flukes and pod-like intestinal parasites, and then tapeworm. So it just kind of, you know, scratches the surface. But do you really need to know all the different parasites? Do you really need to know all of them? No, you can Google all that. This is just telling you that what this protocol can potentially do. This is a manual on how to implement the protocol and what you may experience, and maybe answer some questions for some people that have, you know, questions about sex on the protocol, or, you know, why the diet is what it is. Okay, so just do the protocol. Just do it. Yeah, I know there wasn't like ingested tomatoes, because right. Yes, and I had a lot of those. I had a lot of those in the beginning when I wasn't eating a lot of tomatoes and red peppers. So I got rid of a lot of, and I noticed that my demeanor changed when I was doing the purging. So yeah, that was, it's going to be, you know, if anyone does stay with this, they're going to see their anxiety disappear, because parasites cause anxiety. It's like the body going like, oh my God, something is killing me, you know? That's what anxiety is feeling like impending death. The link is on the link of the parasites is on the top, where it says medical news today. If you go when this transmission is done, it's going to be posted on my Facebook, right? You'll see it. The title of this book, it says Parasites and the Protocol, and it has a link to the parasites. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's what anxiety is. It's just parasites that are, you know, causing chaos in your system. Death and chaos. And people are living that way for years until the body finally gives out, because those parasites and the fungus take over. I mean, I can only imagine somebody that is like, you know, 500 pounds that dies, and someone does an autopsy, what they might be seeing when I was like, oh my, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. All right, I'm gonna go get my dog. Hold on. Hi, Sugar. Like a little lion. She's so cute. All right. So, all right. All right. So you guys have a great day. Just feel free to go in and Google parasites. Just Google human parasites. Google is such a host of information, and then go and look and see in your poop what's in there, right? And then go look up human parasites and go see if you find anything that looks remotely similar. I don't go look at what human parasites and what parasites look like because I get so grossed out. Like seriously grossed out. So you guys need to go to Google and Google all those pictures, because I could not bring myself in a lot of ways to go and take stuff from the internet and transfer them in my book and then ask for permission or find those Creative Commons. You know, that was my focus, was to gross anybody out. I just want you to be aware of the fact that this protocol can purge out those parasites. And then you can go and look at all those gross pictures. Okay. All right. Well, you guys have a great, great day. Keep drinking. Nice to see you guys all. And all right, I'll talk to you later. Okay. All right. Bye.